Hi again, everybody, and welcome into another edition of Peacocks on the Prowl, presented by Mona's Fire Pit. Zach Carlisle here with you, and this week we're talking Peacock men's basketball. 3-0 for the first time in our Division II program history, and for that we're pleased to be joined by Dennis Austin III. And Dennis, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Well, hey, let's start with this California trip. Just got back from California, out there in Anaheim, and got 3 wins out there to start the season. So we'll just begin with that. Overall, how did you feel that you guys played, obviously coming away with 3 wins?
I think we played at an unbelievable pace. I think we had a huge chip on our shoulder going in, especially the upperclassmen. We wanted to go out there and make sure we were still focused on business. The trip was amazing, though. You know, the games were fun. The organization, how they organized it, was amazing. It was a great experience, though.
So these games, though, they were some pretty good games against some quality opponents out there. Close games. All 3 of them were within 5 points or less, but you were able to come out with wins in all 3 of those. So tell me about the resilience and how you guys were able to pull away late to win all those games.
So, as we mentioned, we were there 2 years ago, and we just knew that going back into Cali, we don't know what to expect. It's early in the season. Teams don't really know us. We don't really know them. So we just have to go out there and buy into what we've done all preseason and what the coaches preach to us about trusting one another and just going out there and executing what we do best. And that's pretty much what we did. And luckily, we turned out with a few wins.
So this team, different than the one that we saw a year ago, made it all the way to the NCAA tournament. It's a younger team, not as much of the, with 5 seniors last year. This year, a little bit of a younger roster. Some of those veterans back as well, though. But how do you guys feel about the team that's been built coming into the year? It's super early, but tell me about the mindset and how you guys feel about this unit coming in.
The age change, but I don't think the hunger and the toughness in the guys in the group that the coaches brought in. I mean, the same hunger is there. The guys, even for example, one of the games, I think it was game 2, maybe game 1, Q, one of our teammates, he rolled his ankle, probably first half, and we were a little rattled, but the next game he suited up, and that just shows how tough that kid is and how tough the younger guys is. And for Joe, who had an unbelievable weekend as a freshman, and Carson being Carson, everyone just picking up roles that that we were nervous coming into the season, like who's gonna gravitate where, and everything's just coming together so well, and everyone's trusting one another, and just the bond we have. I just think that it's the same goal, just different age. I think that the hunger and the Lions is in everyone, and I think it's going to be another great year.
So some of these veterans that are back, yourself included, Carson Parker you mentioned, Cam Rowan's back for his second year with the roster. Munachizo Okonkwo's back for another year. You got some pieces that are back from this team. Tell me about some of those guys. Obviously, Carson being Carson, but this veteran leadership, it seems like you guys have the ability to really come together and lead this team.
I think once we, adjusted to the unbelievable guys we had last year with Jimmy, Josh, Jordan, Jace, the list goes on. But I think we all went home this summer and focused on what we could do better for not only for ourselves, but for the team. And it wasn't for me working on shooting the ball better or, Cam being more of a playmaker. And we've all done those things, and now we brought everything back to the table. It's just unbelievable how the coaches are, molding us into a great group of guys, and the bond is just unbelievable. Those guys are great leaders. Cam, Carson, Moo stepping up. Those guys are unbelievable now. They're just great players as the year started.
Let's talk about one specific, Carson Parker. He's getting closer and closer to 1,000 points in his career, and that might not mean anything to him because he's always a team guy. But he's 13 out from 1,000 points in his career. How good is this kid? What makes him so special as the leader of your team?
It's so many words that you can explain for this guy. He's a warrior. Like his heart for the game, his passion, the way he goes about practice and pre-games and pre-workouts. He's the first one in, last one out, and that's cliche, but he truly is. And I thought I worked hard, and I thought other guys worked hard, but this kid, this vet now, he's in there, and he's doing things that he does all the time. So the shots he made and the plays he makes, he's done that 1,000 times before. So it's nothing new to him, and he's just a leader. But he does it with his action. Like, he does it by showing us that, if I miss 5 free throws in one game, I'm going to go shoot 105 the next day. And he doesn't, yell at kids. He doesn't he talk to you. He adapts to you, and that's unbelievable leadership for him.
I want to talk about some of these new guys that are on the roster. You mentioned Quentin Blau. You've got Joe Smolt, the freshman out of Gladbrook-Rhinebeck, who, as you mentioned, had a fantastic weekend. You've got some of these new pieces on this squad. How do you feel about them and the way that they've kind of molded themselves in with you guys early on?
They just jumped right in. They went head first, and they have been swimming. They have yet to drown. Those guys are warriors as well. The class the coaches brought in are just dogs. They're young guys. They're hungry. They're ready to go. They're motivated, and that showed a lot this weekend. Me, myself, being in foul trouble, and other guys getting in foul trouble, and those guys really stepping up and doing what they do best, and not thinking about it, not making the freshman mistakes. Those guys are unbelievable, and that comes from the upperclassmen that were here before us with Jimmy and Josh and them, and then now Carson, Mitch, and us, and the rest of the guys. That's just leadership, and those guys are adapting really well.
We know how important it is when you get into the Northern Sun season to get those games. But there's this preseason schedule with these non-conference schools that you guys know now also are pretty important when it comes down to the road. How important are these games early on in the year? You've got some big opponents coming up this weekend as well. How important are some of these games early on in the season?
Well, first, we take every game one step at a time. It's one game at a time. We want to make sure we prepare ourselves as much as possible for the team that's ahead, and because we know they're doing the same. And we just want to make sure we're humbling ourselves. And we've had a great weekend. Those 3 games were unbelievable. But now it's game 4. It's time to focus on our next opponent that's coming up, and we just want to make sure that our heads are on. We're going to do the right things. We're going to buy in this week, and it starts in practice, starts in lifting, it starts with the little things that turns over to game times. And we just want to make sure that we're going to go in there with a chip on our shoulder, because we know this is a big game. There's no shade on that, but we want to make sure we're focused, and it's not a game that we just want to go into and blindfolded and not know. So we want to make sure we're prepared, and I think that's what all the guys are ready for.
All right, you talk about big games. There's a team that you played last year in the tournament. You played them a couple of times. Northwest Missouri State is who you got first, Missouri Western State, to wrap up the weekend on Saturday. All right, you played them last year in March. You've seen this team. Now you get to go play them again. They're ranked number 1 in the country. How excited are you guys to go down there and face those Bearcats?
I think we've had this game marked since the day it ended, and it's no secret. We're excited. We want to get down there. We want to just get the ball in the air and let's play ball. We know they're preparing for us, and we're preparing for them. And I hope they know that we're taking this game, the highest importance, just like every other game. And we're going to prepare like it's every game, but we're going to go there with a little bit of a chip, and we want to make a statement in a conference, in a region, and that we're not just someone you're going to walk over. So we're going to do everything we can to prepare.
Your redshirt junior year, what are some of the things you're really looking forward to this year with the new group, with the faces coming into this season? As you look ahead to the entire year, what are some of the things you're looking forward to in your redshirt junior season?
Oh, I'm looking forward to just being the experience with all these guys, enjoying Carson and the upperclassmen as they're true seniors, and then adjusting with the freshmen and kind of being a leader. I think that's a huge role for me this year, is being a vocal leader, and learning how to talk to different players certain ways, because you can't, everyone's not the same. And I think that's where I struggled with a lot in the past. And so now just being a leader, being a vocal leader, being a positive leader, and doing the right things, to lead this group into hopefully a successful season.
Well, Dennis, best of luck this week down in Missouri. Thanks for joining us, and congratulations on the good start.
Thanks for having me.
Dennis Austin III with us. Peacock Men's Hoops heads down to Missouri. They take on number 1 Northwest Missouri State and then Missouri Western State to round out the weekend. Well, thanks for joining us. I'm Zach Carlisle. We will talk to you next week on Peacocks on the Prowl, presented by Mona's Fire Pit.